Okay, so let's talk about rocks. I know what you might be thinking. Rocks? But trust me, we're about to dive into a story that's dramatic, violent, and just, well, fascinating. This is the life story of a rock.
When you pick up a stone, what do you feel? It's cold, right? Solid. Maybe even a little boring? But what if I told you you're actually holding a time capsule, a survivor of insane planetary forces, forged in fire, crushed by pressure you can't even imagine? Yeah, every single rock has a story.
So, what are these stories? And maybe more importantly, how are they all connected? I mean, think about it. How can a giant piece of granite on a mountaintop have anything to do with the sand on a beach? Well, as we're about to find out, they're actually all part of this huge interconnected family.
All right, to get our heads around these stories, we first got to meet the three main families of rock that make up the Earth's crust. You can think of them as the main characters in this whole saga: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. So let's start where it all begins.
Okay, let's go deep. I mean, deep inside the Earth. We're talking about a world of just incredible heat and molten rock. And this is the birthplace of our first family, the igneous rocks. And the name pretty much says it all, right? Igneous comes from the Latin word ignis, which means fire. So yeah, these are literally rocks that were born in fire. Geologists have a name for them: primary rocks. And the reason is simple. They're basically the great-great-grandparents of all other rocks. Seriously, every stone you've ever laid eyes on, whether it's a tiny pebble or a massive mountain, began its life as molten stuff that cooled down and got hard. And here's a fantastic example: granite. You've definitely seen this stuff, probably in kitchen countertops. See those beautiful interlocking crystals? That's the dead giveaway that it cooled down super slowly, way, way down deep in the earth. So this is our first character in the play, the fiery original. But hold on, the story doesn't stop there, not by a long shot. Once that igneous rock makes its way to the surface, a whole new chapter kicks off. This one's all about getting worn down, carried off, and then rebuilt. And this brings us to family number 2, sedimentary rocks. So how does this happen? Well, it all starts with something called denudation. Sounds kind of fancy, but it's really just a word for the constant, relentless attack from nature. We're talking wind, rain, ice, all working together to grind down those tough primary rocks into tiny little bits we call sediments. And these tiny pieces, they go on a journey. First, they get broken off. That's weathering and erosion. Then they get a ride, maybe from a river or the wind. Eventually, they get dropped off and settle in layers, usually at the bottom of a lake or an ocean. And then, this is where the magic happens. They get compacted and cemented together.
Just imagine a giant natural press. As more and more layers of sediment pile up, the weight from the top is just enormous. It squeezes everything together super tight. And at the same time, you've got these dissolved minerals in the water that act like a natural superglue, binding all those little grains together to form a completely new solid rock.
And this is the incredible result. You can literally see the history in the rock. See those layers? Geologists call them strata. Each one is like a page in Earth's history book, a little snapshot in time. And sometimes you even find fossils trapped in there. It's an amazing journey from fire to fragments to a totally new kind of stone. But okay, what if the story takes another twist? What if those igneous or sedimentary rocks don't just get worn away? What if, instead, they get pushed into a situation with so much force that it changes their very being? Well, that brings us to our third and final family, metamorphic rocks. The keyword here is transformation. Really, it's like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. A rock gets buried deep, deep down. It gets cooked and squeezed by unbelievable heat and pressure. Now, it doesn't melt, that's key. Instead, its whole internal structure, all its minerals, get rearranged into something completely new. Let's go back to our old friend, granite. Remember that igneous rock? Okay, so you take that granite and you put it under some serious pressure. What do you get? You get this. Nice. It's still made of the exact same minerals, but look, they've been squished and lined up into these cool-looking bands. Geologists have a word for these bands: foliations. And that sheet-like layering, that's the classic telltale sign that a rock has been through the metamorphic process. It's the #1 clue they look for. So what causes this crazy transformation? It really boils down to two main drivers. You've got thermal metamorphism, that's all about intense heat, usually from nearby magma. And then there's dynamic metamorphism, which is all about intense, crushing pressure, like when tectonic plates slam into each other.
Okay, so we've met the whole crew, right? The three families. Igneous, born from fire, sedimentary, rebuilt from tiny pieces, and metamorphic, transformed by pressure. But how does it all connect? This, my friends, is where the story gets really beautiful.
So let's recap real quick. We've got our three rock types. But here's the kicker, the most amazing part of all this. These aren't three separate stories. Nope, they're all connected. They're all part of one giant planetary recycling program.
We call it the rock cycle. An igneous rock can be broken down into sediment. That sediment can get buried and squeezed into a metamorphic rock. And that metamorphic rock, it can get pushed down so deep it melts back into magma. And the whole thing starts all over again. It's a cycle that just never, ever stops.
Okay, so why does any of this matter? It's a super ancient, super slow cycle, right? Who cares? Well, we should, because our entire civilization is built on it. I'm not kidding. The rock cycle is what gives us things like marble and granite for our buildings. It's what concentrates valuable metals like iron and copper for us to mine. And it creates the exact conditions needed for fossil fuels like coal and oil to form. Just look around you right now. The steel in your car, the concrete in the building you're in, the energy charging your phone, it all traces back to this incredible planetary recycling system. Our modern world is literally, and I mean literally, built on the backs of these ancient rock stories. So the next time you see a big boulder like this one, don't just see a rock. See it for what it is, a monument to deep time. It's proof of an unbelievable journey through fire, water, and pressure. And that journey, it's still going on, right now, all over the world. And that kind of leaves us with one final, mind-bending thought. The ground beneath you, the ground that feels so solid and still, it's not. It's constantly moving, constantly changing, all part of this endless cycle. So the next time you pick up a rock, just for a second, ask yourself, what's your story? Where have you been, and where are you going next?